Lord, your love and your grace are amazing. We trust in your amazing love and in your amazing grace. So pour out your grace, your mercy, and your peace on us this morning. Fill these words with your power and your presence and your spirit. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
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 So this is our last week in the book of Habakkuk. And we've been looking at hope in the hard times. Hope in the hard times with Habakkuk. And the end of Habakkuk sounds a little like a country song. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I've been telling you, as we've journeyed through Habakkuk, about my Akari's brother-in-law, John Russell. And John is a great guy. And over the last year, they have hit some hard times. A year ago or so, he had a heart attack, and 6 months ago, he had open heart surgery, and now he's got a cancer diagnosis. So he's looking at chemo, and it's seemingly almost impossible or inoperable. And they need some hope in hard times. And I don't know if we told you this, but they moved to Nashville from suburban Chicago. And while in Nashville, John has been able to build a good, really successful commercial real estate business. But the reason why they moved to Nashville is because he is a country singer-songwriter. And one of, he's played under a bunch of different groups, but one of them is, can you go to the next slide, please? There we go. One of them is JR and the Roadkill Choir. They are big enough that they have got a greatest hits album. Now, how many of you have heard of JR and the Roadkill Choir? Anybody? Okay, we got some here in the front row. And now, JR and the Roadkill Choir, they are huge in Liechtenstein. Yep, and Australia, I believe. But they've got some great country songs. John has written some great country songs. Songs like I'm Dreaming You Beautiful. Okay, well, maybe that's a way home. Or You're Too Ugly to Be Treating on Me. Okay, that's better. I'm Not Drunk Enough to Dance. Or I Can't Get Over You Since You've Been Under Him. Thanks, John. Well, like I said, the end of Habakkuk sounds a little like a country song. So let me just summarize it for you this way. The fig trees have no blossoms. There are no grapes on the vines. The olive crop fails. All my flocks are dead. The cattle barns are empty. And I'm surprised he didn't say my dog has run away. That's the way Habakkuk almost ends. And so we're going to see where he goes from there. Because Habakkuk is a lot like this roller coaster that goes down, 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 deeper and deeper. And you cannot tell on this roller coaster where the bottom is. And sometimes when we are in the hard times, we don't know where the bottom is going to be. And so Habakkuk, we saw the first week begins in wondering. And Habakkuk cries out to God, God, how long? How long are we going to witness this extreme suffering, this pain, and this awful experience, the oppression of the people, and violence and evil are around us? How long, O Lord? Deliver us, save us. And so Habakkuk, and his name Habakkuk means wrestle and embrace. And so wrestle with God. God, how long? How long is this going to keep going on? When are we going to see you act? When are we going to see you act, Lord? And so we wrestle with the fact that the way we are experiencing life is not the way we anticipated it, Lord. And what we are seeing, we want to see your power, but we believe in you, but our circumstances are not revealing your power. So you wrestle with God. You wonder what's going on. But then you also have to embrace God's promises, God's hope, God's love. Embrace the gifts that he has given to you. And embrace the good things. And so you wrestle with the hard things, and you embrace the good things. And you wonder how long. And so that was the first week, wrestling on grace. And then last week, Habakkuk cries out to God, God, how long? He says, all right, I'm going to go up to my watchtower, and I'm going to watch for God. So he goes up to his watchtower. We don't know how long he's up on his watchtower, but he goes up to his watchtower, and God speaks, and God says, Habakkuk, write what you will hear. Write what you will see. And so he watches, and he writes, and then he waits, and he waits, and he waits. And finally he gets to this place of silence. And when we are waiting for God to act, sometimes it sounds like God is silent, that God is not speaking to us, that God is not there. But Habakkuk says, no, the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silent. In other words, when we experience that silence, when we shut out all the distractions in our lives, then we can hear from God, because that means God is where he's supposed to be, in his holy temple. And that silence gives us the opportunity to listen to what God has for us. So Habakkuk waits, and he watches, and he writes, and he listens, and he waits. And then third, this week, Habakkuk 3 is just, well, it's just wow. It's just wow. And to understand what's going on in this last chapter of the book of Habakkuk, I need to teach you a new word. And it's a weird word. It's Shigionoth. Now say Shigionoth. Shigionoth. And this is the only time this word is used in the whole Bible. Shigionoth. And it's usually untranslated. It just says it's a Shigionoth. This prayer of Habakkuk is a Shigionoth. And sometimes they think it's a musical term or a musical instrument or it's a kind of a prayer. But it's a plural form, so it's some sort of group of prayers. And when we think of prayer, we think of folding our hands and closing our eyes and bowing our head. And how many of you prayed this prayer when you were a kid? Like, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Amen. How many of you prayed that when you were a kid? Yeah?
I still do.
You still do? Good. I was thinking about this. There's a little digression here, but have you listened to the words of that prayer? Okay, now I lay me down to sleep. Okay, that's nice. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Okay, I don't know what keep means, but God keep my soul. That's good. Think about if you're a little kid. If I should die before I wake. Wait a minute. Is death actually possible overnight? Like, Mom, Dad, what are you doing? Does God need to protect me from what? No wonder we thought there were, the boogeyman underneath our beds because we were praying for God to take our souls when we die. What? Anyway, maybe that's why I didn't like going to bed when I was a kid. All right, so Shigionoth. That sounds like an alien race from the Avengers, right? Oh no, it's the Shigionoth. But what the Shigionoth really means is it's a frenzied prayer. It is an overly emotional expression. It's like shouting. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that this is the way we should pray. Most of the time when we read about prayers in the Bible, our arms are lifted up, our hands are lifted up, our eyes are lifted up, and we are crying out to God. That's what Shigionoth is. It's a passionate cry out to God. It's like, oh Lord, how you art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Right? That's the way this prayer should be. We should be shouting out to God. It is a passionate prayer of praise with exclamation points, shouting before God. And it's praise. It is a prayer of praise, praising God before the provision. Praising God before he answers your prayer. Saying thank you, God, for who he is. This is a prayer about God, not about what God is going to do. This is a prayer of praise for the who God is, and not the what you want him to do, or the what he's going to do, or the what he has done. This is a prayer of praise with exclamation points. A prayer before the provision. And it is in Habakkuk, it is a roller coaster prayer. Habakkuk is all over the map in this prayer. He is, first of all, he's talking in the first person to God. God, I'm seeing this and I'm doing this, and God is in the second person, and then God's in the third person, and it's just, grammatically, it's just all over. But I see God moving, and I see God at work, and there's pestilence, and there's fire and brimstone and death and destruction and total chaos, cats and dogs living together. And yes, okay, just wondering if you're still listening. There's a lot going on. And God is marching across the land in his anger, and he's splitting open the earth, and he's vanquishing, he's sending out his bow and arrow, and all sorts of crazy stuff is going down because God is in charge. He is revealing his power in creation. He is revealing his power in everything that he does. Creation is actually testifying to God's greatness and God's power. All of this is going on, and there's wonder in Habakkuk 3. There is fear of God's power, and there's anxiety over what God's going to do. And then we get to this part. Even though the fig trees have no blossom, and there are no grapes on the vines, even though the olive crop fails, and the fields lie empty and barren, even though the flocks die in the fields, and the cattle barns are empty, even though business is bad, even though I've done everything right, Habakkuk is saying, I've got a very diversified portfolio of my farming. I've got olive groves, and I've got grapevines, and I've got fig trees, and I got blossoms, and I got fields, and they are all suffering and dying. Not only that, I'm not just a farmer, but I'm also a rancher, and my flocks are dying in the fields, and my cattle barns are empty, and my dog is running away. No. All of this bad stuff is going on, and God, I've done everything right. And yet, he says, Lord, in my deep need, help us again. In this time of our deep need, help us again, as you did in years go by. In your anger, remember your mercy. He's remembering what God has done in the past. He's thinking about the power that God has, and he says, even though all this bad stuff is happening, even though, God, I know you have the power, and you haven't done anything yet, even though you have the power, and even though this bad stuff is going on, yet Habakkuk says, I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. He sees all of this bad stuff going on. His life is in shambles. The nation is falling. Everywhere there's death and destruction. There's pain and suffering. He's cried out to God, God, how long? And he says, even though all this bad stuff's going on, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God, my salvation. Amen. Will you, in the midst of the pain and the suffering and the destruction and the violence that we see all around us, and maybe the bad stuff that's going on in your own life, can you say, I rejoice in the Lord? Will you make that conscious decision to rejoice in the Lord in spite of your circumstances? Every day. Paul, amen. That's what being a follower of the one true God is all about. It's being able to experience the hard times and still being able to rejoice in the Lord. How does he do that? Well, he says this, the sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes me as sure-footed as a deer, able to tread upon the heights. The sovereign Lord is my strength, Habakkuk says. He makes me as sure-footed as a deer, able to tread upon the heights. Now, here in Central Florida, we cannot tread upon the heights, right? I mean, even though we have Mount Dora right over here, you cannot climb Mount Dora and look down upon the heights. Kari grew up in Arlington Heights, which is suburban Chicago. There are no heights in Arlington Heights, okay? Illinois is a lot like Florida. It is flat. Next to Mount Arlington Heights is Mount Prospect. You cannot climb Mount Prospect and look down upon Arlington Heights from Mount Prospect. It just is flat. To experience, I think Illinois, the citizens of Illinois should sue some of their cities about false advertising. I mean, there's a city named Shorewood. There's no shore. There's no wood. Now, Plainfield, that name is correct. But anyway, so the only place that we can tread upon the heights is out west in California, or out west in Utah. Sorry. got my geography messed up. So about 20 years ago, my brother and I traveled to Park City, Utah for a cousin's wedding. And we took an early morning flight, got out there Friday morning, and we started walking through like the old western part of Park City, real rustic looking and cool looking old timey buildings, and figure you're walking into saloons and you're wearing your spurs, you know, that type of place. And so we're walking up kind of this incline, and we realize after about 10 steps, we cannot breathe. I mean, it's 7,000 feet high. Now this is the heights. The Mile High City, 5,200 feet. This is 7,000 feet. So we are walking up this hill. We can barely breathe. We're like, how are we going to get through this wedding weekend? But we go through Friday night, just, you know, we're kind of getting acclimated, and then Saturday is fine, a little better, and we decide Sunday morning, we've got a late night, Sunday night flight out of Park City back to Chicago. And so we decide Sunday morning we're going to rent some mountain bikes and go mountain biking, because what do you do when you're in the mountains? You go mountain biking. And so we rent some mountain bikes, and the bike shop tells us where to go to get on this trail, and it looks a lot like this, and it's beautiful. So we're pedaling along in this green field, and then we get a little closer to the mountains, and then here it's all just switchbacks, back and forth, up the mountain, back and switchbacks. Now these guys are going downhill, but we were going switchback up the hill, and every pedal stroke is really, really hard, because we are huffing and puffing and working. We're having fun, right? We're having fun, right? And we are working so hard. And so then we get to kind of this flat incline area where you can see some more mountains coming up, because we were trying to get to this beautiful mountain lake that the bike shop told us about. It's like halfway up the mountain. So we're pedaling, and we get to this kind of open area, and we hear from behind us, we hear this, on your left, on your left. Now, when you're biking and you hear on your left, it's a lot like when you're golfing and you hear someone saying, hey, can we play through? Okay, when someone wants to play through while you're golfing, that means you're kind of playing slowly, and can you move out of the way so we can play through? Everyone will be happy, you can play at your own speed, and then we can get on our way and get our golfing. Well, same thing when you're biking. If someone yells on your left, it means you're going a little too slow. Can we just pass you? Everyone will be happy that way. And so we kind of pull off the trail, and we let this group come past. This is about 10, 15 people that start pedaling, speeding past us, and we realize as we're watching them go past us, that these are all, well, grandmas, okay? These are all grandmas of various shapes and sizes, and I kid you not, some of them were actually smoking, and they're, I hope we get back in time to see little Jasper's soccer game. They're smoking, and they're talking, they're actually interacting. My brother and I can barely breathe, let alone speak. And they get past us, and they are just gone in a flash, and we get back on the trail, and we can't even think, really, but we get to the mountain lake, and it's beautiful. And we see up on the mountain, like these old ladies are way almost at the top of that mountain, the very back of it. We're like, how in the world? And so we're getting a drink, and we're just sitting down, and we're like, how did they do that? And then we're like, well, you know what, they had better equipment. We're on rental bikes, like they had much better equipment. And in fact, they had clip-in shoes, where you clip it in so you can get more pressure, going up and down when you're pedaling and all that stuff. And we're like, I don't think that's true. So anyway, so we're up there, and then we have to get down off the mountain, because we got a plane to catch now, and it took us about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to that place. And here's how far we went. It took us 10 minutes to get back down the mountain. Yeah, but we wondered, what in the world, how did they do that? And what I realized, the difference between us and the grandmas, is that the grandmas had put their time in at altitude. They had put the work in. They had experienced the difficulties breathing, and they could take it. They had experienced it, and they had lived through it. And the same is true with Habakkuk. He could say that he had tread upon the heights, and that the sovereign Lord was his strength, that he could rejoice in the midst of his circumstances, in the midst that there was difficulty all around him, in the midst that he was unable to breathe. he was able to say that the Lord was his strength, and that he had tread upon the heights because he had put the time in. Because he had put the time in with the wondering, crying out to God, wrestling and embracing what God was doing. Without the wondering, without the waiting on God, and listening for God. If he hadn't done the wondering, and if he hadn't done the waiting, and if he hadn't done the listening, he wouldn't have had that hope, that strength, that confidence, to be able to say, the sovereign Lord is my strength, to be able to tread upon the heights, to bike upon the heights. And so this is how we have hope in the hard times. That we wonder and cry out to God and wrestle and embrace God. And that we wait for God and watch for God and write about God and wait and listen for God. And then we just go, wow, God. In spite of everything we are going through, Lord, I will rejoice. Because the sovereign Lord is my strength. He will help me tread upon the heights. And God can help you tread upon the heights. Even if you can't breathe, even if you feel like you are dying, even if you are engaged in chemotherapy, even if you are engaged in marriage that's falling apart, even if your finances are falling apart, even if your body's falling apart, God can still help you tread upon the heights. Because he loves you. And he's waiting for you to respond to his great love. By saying, I will rejoice in the Lord. Because we don't get our strength from our work. We don't get our strength from our family. We don't get our strength from our body. The sovereign Lord is our strength. That's how we can tread on the heights. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we come before you in humility to seek you. We wonder, Lord, what you are doing. We wonder what you are doing in our world, in our nation, in our state, in our town, in our church, in our lives. Lord, we wonder. And we wrestle with the pain and the suffering that we see all around us and the difficulties that we experience. And we wonder, Lord, and we wrestle with you, with what you're doing. But Lord, we embrace your love. We embrace your grace. We embrace your truth. We stand on your truth. So Lord, as we wonder, we watch and we wait. We know you have the power. We know, we see your power in creation. We see your power in what you've done for us in the past. We ask, Lord, that you would do it again. That you would bring healing and mercy and grace. And yet, even if our fig trees have no blossoms and our grapevines have no grapes and our olive groves have no olives, our fields are empty and our flocks are dying and our cattle barns are gone, Lord. Even if all that is true, yet we rejoice in you. And we will testify to those we encounter of your great love and the joy that you have given to us because, Lord, you are our sovereign Lord. You are our strength, and you will help us tread upon the heights. So lead us, Lord, up the mountain. Meet our needs. And bless us. We trust in you.